In Chapter 181, Trouble Magnet, Shusan, and Shusi hesitated, like nervous sidekicks outside a Titan's lair, finally daring to knock on Alex's door, the man who recently cratered Company HQ with divine firepower. Analysts had combed the blast zone, calculating his strength as possibly beyond the world's greatest heroes, maybe even challenging the elusive old Taoist. Personality-wise, he wasn't evil or heroic, just above it all, like an immortal board of the cosmos. His apathy was legendary. Experts urged diplomacy, so the duo arrived with a black card loaded with 10 million as an olive branch. But inside, Alex was lounging like a god emperor on velvet thrones, pampered by stunning companions, their beauty making the visitors feel like peasants. Shusi nervously delivered the apology, offering the card. Alex, unbothered, laughed and conjured. Alex stood tall, eyes gleaming with calm defiance. "No need for drama," he said. "This world may not be mine, but it's still Earth. I won't be stingy." He took the black card with ease, letting the tension melt. "I'll join your company, but only as a figurehead." Shock turned to joy as Shusi realized he had just won the cosmic lottery. Alex continued, voice firm and resolute. "I take no orders. If I feel generous, I'll help. And when I leave this world, I'll leave behind a gift tone worth more than your so-called 8 secret arts." Shusi agreed instantly. For him, this was more than a deal, it was a miracle. Days later, Alex wandered through Mount. Just then, Alex halted mid-step, eyes narrowing on a bizarre Sania blue-skinned doll sprinting off with a squirming sack in tow. That aura? Unmistakably Zhang Chulin. "So, the game begins," Alex muttered, a grin curling as he imagined meeting his far-removed nephew. Knowing Zhang was now caught up with a lowly and a mysterious older woman on his way to encounter Zhang Lingyu, Alex figured it was time to shake things up. After all, in this world, he was the architect of the Taoist Master Hall. And what's an ancient founder if not a meddler of fate? With a flicker, Alex vanished, unnoticed, memories of him by the decree of his elevated will. "You're coming with us, no questions asked." Zhang Shulan bristled at the command, snapping back with fire. "Hold on! Do I not get a vote in this madness?" Meanwhile, the tiny one pouted, grumbling under her breath. "They're hijacking our mission, hijacking it!" Before a swift hand muffled her words. "Quiet," the elegant woman hissed, eyes sharp. These folks aren't just passing Wanderer's Dread carefully. Reading the tension, the two women eased away, signaling their withdrawal. With them out of the way, Zhang Lingyu, dripping authority, turned back to Chulin. "Come." That was the final straw. Chulin's patience burst like a dam. "You've got to be kidding me. I just want a nap." But orders were orders. At Lingyu's signal, 2 disciples flared to life in golden radiance, launching a sudden strike. In seconds, they retreated, verdict in hand. Golden energy flared as Zhang Lingyu stood untouched, the divine shield leaving him flawless. With a lightning-quick strike, he shattered Zhang Chulan's defenses and sent him crashing to the ground. Chulin rose, fists flying in desperation, but each blow vanished into futility. He couldn't even graze Lingyu. Eyes narrowed with contempt. Lingyu mocked. "This is your limit? You disgrace the legacy of our path." Power surged into his clenched fist, ready to end it until Chulan vanished. Not a trace, not a sound. Lingyu froze. This wasn't trickery, it was something greater, something watching. "Who's there? Show yourself!" he roared. A blur then, a slap cracked across his face like thunder. Reeling, bleeding, Lingyu stared up in disbelief. Before him stood a white-haired figure, cloaked in stillness, eyes like sapphire stars. The air bent around him, alive, resonating. Lingyu's heart pounded. He had felt this presence only once before. The aura of harmony, the echo of the Taoist master. And then it hit him. The myth? The whisper? Could this truly be the founder returned? As Zhang Lingyu stood, brooding and silent, Alex's voice sliced through the tension low, sharp and filled with disappointment. "So, this is the legacy of the Hall? Fragile in strength, but even weaker in spirit?" The Taoist bristled, shouting back in defense of their junior master's prowess, but Alex shook his head. His disdain aimed deeper than fists and lightning. "Not power," he said coldly. "Pettiness, desire. That's the rot." The intel was clear. This guy was pretending to be the founder of the Hall, bragging about taking down anyone who dared cross him. He even had the guts to threaten the current Taoist master, Zhang Jiwei, as if that would ever fly. Unbelievable arrogance. Everyone knew Zhang Jiwei was the most powerful practitioner out there, yet this guy didn't even bat an eye at him. Even worse, he had the nerve to claim he was the founder of the Hall, a direct insult that couldn't go unanswered. Recognizing him, Zhang Lingyu stepped up to challenge him. "I'll give it to you. Your strength is impressive, but don't you think you've gone too far? You're barely 20 and already claiming to be the Hall's founder, dragging its name through the mud? You even say you could take down my teacher whenever you want. Who do you think you are?" I've heard you're from Guangxing, but even they've never been this reckless. Since when did they let someone this out of control represent them? It was. True Guangxing might have been wild, but they'd never openly defied their sect like this. Alex, though, was a whole different beast. Calmly, Alex fired back, "Arrogant? I'm just stating facts. I am the founder of the Tianchi sect. There are countless worlds out there beyond your understanding, like the ninja world, pirate world, and entire parallel universes. Just because you don't know them doesn't mean they don't exist. Your ignorance is no excuse to challenge me. I'll let it slide this time, but if you step out of line again, you'll learn the hard way who's really in charge." Zhang Lingyu couldn't hold it in anymore, bursting out in laughter. "Who do you think you are? Some celestial being? Worlds beyond your imagination? Let me see what you've got today." In the shadow of collapsing timelines and fractured realities, a lone figure dares to declare the unthinkable. Alex, veiled in paradox and power, claims the origin throne itself. Facing him is Zhang Lingyu, disciple of tradition, crackling with disbelief. "You? Founder of the Hall? Barely 20 and already spewing nonsense about ninja worlds and pirate realms?" The air thickens with judgment, disbelief morphing into challenge, but Alex doesn't flinch. His eyes shimmer with truths not yet born. "I don't need to prove anything. This world and the ones beyond bend to codes you can't comprehend. I don't challenge your master, I supersede his story." Lingyu scoffs, laughter laced with rage. "Different worlds? Celestial arrogance? Then show me!" The duel ignites, not just between fists, but between beliefs, tradition versus transcendence, bloodline versus multiverse. As the echoes of broken doctrines ripple outward, one question remains. Is this madness, or is it the beginning of a new myth? In the crackling void where lightning dared not tread, Alex stood unshaken, untouched, unbothered. The storm twisted, hissed, tried to coil, but shattered against an invisible wall. Golden light mantra? The young sister wondered aloud. "No way," scoffed the chubby Taoist. "This ain't no golden glow, it's raw force. Telekinesis turned divine." Zhang Lingyu, fists clenched, hurled bolt after bolt, but none pierced the veil. Desperation flashed in his eyes. Alex wasn't just younger, he was leagues beyond. So, Lingyu taunted, poked, tried to claw into Alex's pride. "Turtle shell got you scared? Founder of the Taoist Hall, huh? Then show me!" Behind him, Zhang Chulan's voice cracked with panic. "Don't fall for it, just hold your ground." But Alex? He grinned wide, tossed a cheeky wave, and turned like a showman to his challenger. "All right," he drawled, "as you wish." His voice rang out, slow and thunderous, reciting a mantra older than time. "The way of heaven and earth, the root of all chi. Through countless trials, I proved my divinity. Across the three realms, the Tao reigns supreme." And in that moment, power wasn't just felt, it rewrote the air itself. "My body blazes with golden brilliance, a divine armor forged in pure light impenetrable. In the blink of an eye, the once forgotten ruin gives way to a forest ignited by that same burning sun. Golden fury erupts, sweeping away everything. Yin, lightning, warriors, priests, bystanders, nothing escapes. Even Zhang Chulan, caught mid-escape, is thrown like a leaf in a hurricane. As the dust settles, I remain, floating above it all, eyes locked on Zhang Lingyu, the epicenter of devastation. Broken ribs, mangled Armsh's body, a shattered canvas of resistance. He gasps in disbelief, struggling to accept the impossible, that the golden light mantra has returned, and not in his hand. I descend, land a slap like thunder across his jaw, and declare, "You weak of heart, drunk on envy, how did the Taoist Hall fall this far? Despite our junior uncle being open-minded, there's no way he'd buy into these wild claims immediately." "Exactly. Now that you've shown your power, I'm sure junior uncle is on board, right?" The pudgy Taoist flashed a sly wink at Zhang Lingyu, trying to hint at stepping back for his own sake. But Zhang Lingyu, a beast in cultivation but totally clueless with people, ignored the hints completely. He brushed off their advice and firmly declared, "No need to say more. I won't believe he's the founder of the Tianchi sect." The Taoists exchanged a look, their faces sinking in despair, silently swearing that if they survived this, they'd beg the Grandmaster to train Zhang Lingyu both in cultivation and basic human interaction. Stubborn and unyielding, Zhang Lingyu remained oblivious. Alex, on the other hand, couldn't help but laugh. "Told you the Taoist Hall's done for. Its disciples can't even read the room. When you're up against someone stronger, especially if it doesn't go against your values, you step back, you survive, then plan your next move. Do you not get it? Your life's the most important thing here, but you're not even worth saving." With a cold grin, Alex stepped up and effortlessly bent the fabric of reality. "Heavenly manifestation!" He he intoned, and with a snap of his fingers, a storm of lightning coiled into a towering humanoid figure, a colossal being 100 meters tall, its face uncannily like Alex's own. The crowd froze, gasping in shock. "Holy crap!" they whispered in disbelief. A manifestation this grand? Unheard of. Even the most skeptical could feel the weight of his presence. The Taoists guarding Zhang Lingyu were paralyzed, trembling in terror. Alex, like an immortal in the storm's heart, casually moved them out of harm's way before turning to face Zhang Lingyu. Without a word, he bellowed, "You stubborn fool, let me show you the truth." And with that, the sky roared as he unleashed his next move. Great Vajra Dragon. Viet prompt tar ein bung ting ein dur theo kick ban va duan thwai. Toida 700 ki tur. Mota ngan gon yen ver ching. Hun mat trang fuk biu cam trong tung prompt. Hanche mota like kick ban. Charnlock kak kang hang dorang chien do. Bam sat boy kang kang quay. Kothe chia kang sin nu comic toida kong qua 3 scene 1 prompt. Kong dung kodai. Loy batu. Kum tu vi fam ching sek YouTube. Chi tao 1 fin ban duyat ket qua trave la 1 dorn van duyat kong sung dong kong gek do dong. Kong add text valang. But Dobung create an image, American comic style art. What they initially thought was an extraordinary invention now felt completely out of reach. They finally realized just how groundbreaking Alex's spell was. His ability to create the enchantment spell from scratch while they couldn't even comprehend Itivan with his guidance left them in awe. From that moment on, every student who attended the flying lesson developed unwavering admiration for Alex, akin to the devotion of Death Eaters to Voldemort. As the lesson ended and Alex prepared to return to his dormitory, he suddenly noticed an elderly man with silvery white hair standing before him. Every time the lightning shattered his form, I reassembled him, resetting the cycle, again and again, until this very moment. If he claws his way out of this storm of agony and disorientation, his power will surge to unimaginable levels. But if the pain drowns him, if his will breaks, then he'll be trapped in eternal stillness, mind lost, body useless. The Taoist, stunned, pale, hadn't realized the trial was still raging. His eyes flicked toward Alex, silently begging for help, but he knew. Alex, immovable in conviction, wouldn't yield to please. If Alex chose to let Zhang awaken on his own, then so it would be. With a weary sigh, when he reappeared, silence cloaked the temple like an ancient spell. Before him sat a white-haired Taoist master, radiating a ghostly calm, eyes wide with awe at the stranger's presence. With a voice trembling like a brittle scroll in the wind, he whispered, "Are you an immortal, sir?" But the figure didn't answer with words of pride or denial. Instead, he spoke with calm finality. "From today, I am your senior uncle. My title, the Great Love Immortal Venerable. Etch it into the annals of your sect." Then, just as suddenly as he'd arrived, he vanished, leaving behind a golden orb that sank into the Taoist's chest and otherworldly gift, a failsafe of reincarnation for the edge of death. That sphere was no mere blessing. It was the seed of another tale, waiting for a cosmic author to find it and turn fate into fiction. Returning to the modern world, time frozen around him, the Immortal Venerable allowed it to resume with a mere thought. The elder Taoist muttered, "TH." The younger girl, still trembling from the experience, barely managed to mutter, "That was terrifying." When I saw that giant lightning figure, I thought for sure I was going to be blasted away. The older girl softly patted her head, comforting her as best as she could. Meanwhile, Zhang Shulan, still reeling from the event, couldn't help but wonder aloud, why did Senior Alex summon something that looked like a Buddha? Shouldn't he be a sect ancestor instead? Soon, other powerful beings arrived on the scene, only to find remnants of terrifying lightning energy lingering in the air. From that day forward, Alex's giant lightning manifestation became the talk of the extraordinary world. At first, despite the intelligence gathered by different factions, they didn't take Alex seriously. To them, he was just some overconfident individual claiming to be a Taoist Hall ancestor, a strong but unremarkable figure. After all, even the strongest of the extraordinary were still vulnerable when outnumbered, unless they were as invincible as the Taoist Hall's masters. But after witnessing Alex's awe-inspiring manifestation, they realized how wrong they'd been. Alex was on a whole other level on par with, if not surpassing, the old Tianchi. No mere numbers could counter that kind of strength. Soon enough, the title of the Great Love Immortal Venerable, though audacious, spread like wildfire among the outcasts. Meanwhile, while countless factions scrambled to uncover Alex's true identity, he remained unbothered, quietly refining his abilities in a plush 5-star hotel. While Alex focused on training, Zhang Chulin was off stirring trouble elsewhere. He was invited to Tengakai headquarters as a guest, where Feng Zhenggao attempted to ensnare him with a honey trap, sending Feng Xian to seduce him. But Zhang Chulan, thanks to a restriction placed by Zhang Huaiyi, snapped out of it and rejected her advances. Then, Feng Baobao stormed in, taking down Tengakai members left and right before facing off with Jia Zhengyu. After beating him, she was ambushed in a surprise attack, but thanks to her unique constitution, emerged unscathed. Meanwhile, the Quan Jing were also on the move, digging through Zhang Huaiyi's memories and discovering that Feng Baobao was the one who had killed him. They also uncovered the secret that her appearance hadn't changed in over a decade. But none of this concerned Alex. He remained laser-focused on his training. After a month of intense work, yet another skill leveled up. The world was buzzing, but Alex, he just kept grinding. Your skill, RCT, has leveled up. In a flash of raw cosmic power, Alex's reversal technique surged to level 6, transforming from a healing art into a force capable of rewriting the universe's unwritten laws. Once used to mend bodies and halt death, it now repaired the very rules of existence, patching the fractures in the world's design. With a flood of forbidden knowledge searing into his mind, Alex uncovered a secret: this world was incomplete. Compelled by instinct, he expended a colossal amount of energy to alter reality, causing chi to bloom and saturate the air like never before. With a single act, he boosted the world's chi by 10% permanently. But he didn't stop. Feeding more energy into his dimensional universe, Alex increased its energy production by 20%, then again, and again, until it was tenfold what it once was. Though further growth hit a wall, he understood this was just a checkpoint. His RCT had no true ceiling. As he stared into the sky, a smile cracked across his face. This realm still lacked chaos worthy of his gifts. Days passed. He infused more energy, merging with celestial laws, restoring the world's broken framework. Chi multiplied tenfold. Across the land, the outcasts stirred. The strong felt it first. A silent shift had begun, one that would reshape the multiverse forever. High atop the storm-lashed cliffs of the Taoist mansion, the old master stood unshaken, gazing into the churning world reborn beneath him. The shift was undeniable. Chi exploded tenfold, reality cracked at the seams, and his own cultivation surged past ancient limits, igniting dormant power like wildfire. But what shook him more than the world's metamorphosis was the return of one figure. The young man once laughed off as a fraud, now whispered in awed tones as the great love immortal sovereign. At first, Zhang Jue had been ready to slap the arrogance out of him, but ancient scrolls spoke his name long before his arrival, and now the impossible seemed real. As fate twisted tighter, the legendary Rat and Taisho was announced a tournament that the moment they spotted him, they rushed over like a flock of eager fans. One of the Taoists stepped up, gave a deep bow, and said, "Founder, since the old master is swamped with tournament duties, Uncle Tian Jinzong can't move, and Junior Uncle's knocked out cold from your discipline. I, Rong Shan, the old master's direct disciple, will be the one to welcome you. Hope that's all right with you." Alex didn't care whether anyone escorted him or Noth simply nodded. He'd planned on just teleporting straight to Mount Longhu, but figured it might be interesting to experience the founder treatment. "It's fine," Alex replied. Barely a glance at him. Rong Shan let out a quiet sigh of relief and waved him to follow. Soon, they were on a plane headed to Mount Longhu. To Alex's surprise, Zhang Chulan, who should have already left, was on board too. Asking Rong Shan about it, Alex learned that the whole group had been waiting for him. Apparently, his training delays had pushed everything back, but Alex wasn't feeling any guilt. "Come on, making you wait for me is a blessing. Some would kill for the chance to be near a half-multiversal powerhouse like me." On the flight, Shu Si seemed like he wanted to ask something, but kept holding back. Alex, looking out the window at the endless sky, knew exactly what was on his mind, whether the sudden boost in world chi had anything to do with him. But if Shu Si wasn't asking outright, Alex wasn't going to make it easy. Let them ask, and he'd show them. He wasn't about to bring it up himself, it looked too desperate. Just as he thought that, Feng Baobao appeared beside him. Poked Alex, now revered as the immortal lord, stood before the crowd with a calm that shattered all doubt. Whispers echoed through the outcast community had he truly returned from the celestial in a realm beyond time. Alex, now hailed as the immortal lord, returned from the celestial veil, not for conquest, but to visit the next generation of his sect. Yet whispers surged through the outcast community. Why had no other immortal ever returned? Then the impossible happened. Earth's chi multiplied tenfold in mere weeks. Eyes turned to Alex, who stood unfazed. "Yes," he declared. "The surge in chi is my doing, but not by design." He explained that his power had mended the broken laws of the heavenly Tao, elevating the world's tier like something straight out of myth. As his voice echoed like thunder over calm waters, silence fell. Even the skeptical felt the weight of truth in his words phrases like infusing power into the world and mending the Tao weren't just fantasy anymore, they were real. Rongshan, once loyal to his old master, now knelt spiritually to a new beacon. Then came the question from the crowd. What level is your power now? Alex's eyes glimmered with timeless resonance as he smiled and answered, my level is beyond your understanding. But if you know the Marvel Multiverse, then you're getting close. I've been to the Marvel Multiverse, and let me tell you, it's beyond anything you'd imagine. So, there I was, bringing Zhang Chulan and his crew into my personal dimensional universe, and I showed them my collection. Floating Asgards from countless universes. Yeah, those are mine. I snagged them when I was still just a rookie in the multiverse game, used them to level up the universes I was creating. Odin, Thor, and the gang, they're still going about their lives in there. Then, we're whisked away to this paradise island, and there they are, the 6 Infinity Stones, Thanos' gauntlet, and some seriously crazy relics from the Collector. You think you've seen the power of those stones in the movies? Nah, in my world, they make the films look like child's play. Oh, and those other treasures? I won them in battle from the Elders of the Universe. But that wasn't all. Out of nowhere, this group of stunning women, including Catwoman and Nami, strolls over, all arms around me. And poor Zhang Chulani's face? Pure shock. The guy's a nerd through and through, and seeing those iconic characters in the flesh, he couldn't believe it. As if that wasn't enough, after hours of wandering through my universe, they finally returned to their world, muttering, am I dreaming? Yeah, I get it. It was wild. Meanwhile, back in the real world, the Rotten Tie Show was about to kick off, and all the big shots from different factions had already started rolling in. What a day. In a shaded courtyard, where time seemed to stand still, 2 ancient figures locked gazes, like rival warlocks at the edge of a cosmic chessboard. Lu Ci, the scarred sentinel with a storm etched across his eye, finally broke the silence. What do you make of this so-called immortal? Across from him, Wang Ai's laugh sliced through the air like a poisoned blade cold, mocking, razor sharp. Immortal, please, smoke and mirrors. No one returns from myth untouched. But Lu Qi's eyes narrowed, invoking the legend of the 100-Zhong lightning giant at Mount Longhu. Wang Ai leaned forward, darkness curling in his voice like gunpowder. Illusion or ancient art, it doesn't matter. The world belongs to missiles now, not magic. His tone shifted into a schemer's whisper, pitching a trap, a fusion of cunning and firepower to corner the pretender and tear the secret from his soul. Lu Ci faltered, invoking the name of the ancestral master who had sanctioned the immortal's identity. But that name cast a long shadow even over Wang Ai's venomous ambition. For a heartbeat, the air thickened with the gravity of memory, of fear, of an old master too powerful to be myth. Then came the hiss. Expose him, and even the Grand Master will kneel in thanks. Learn his power, and nothing not even God's cloaked in memory can hold us. Is this conversation helpful so far? Lu Ci sat there, his mind swirling, torn between choices. Wang Ai sipped his tea slowly, unfazed, waiting for Lu Ci to speak. After what felt like an eternity, Lu Ci sighed deeply, his decision made. Forget it, he muttered. I'm too old for this. No more risks for me. I'm out. But don't worry, I won't spill your secrets. He stood up, leaving the rustic courtyard, leaving behind Wang Ai, whose eyes darkened with an ominous intensity. Meanwhile, Alex had just flexed his abilities in front of Zhang Chulan and the group, asking them to keep it quiet. I just want to live like a normal guy, Alex said, looking at them all seriously. Zhang Chulan and the others nodded eagerly, swearing they wouldn't breathe a word. Rongshan even swore to keep the secret from the Grandmaster himself. Satisfied, Alex gave a playful smile and mimed pulling a sword from the air, before the group hopped into a car and headed toward Mount Longhu. As they got out and began the trek on foot, they passed through a small town. Suddenly, a voice echoed, as if announcing something monumental. Welcome to Mount Longhu, the world's legendary sanctuary. Zhang Chulan turned his face a mix of surprise and awe. Alex, how did you know I was thinking that? Alex smirked. Reading your mind is easy, Zhang Chulan shot back. Then why say it out loud? Because it's fun, Alex grinned. Zhang Chulan flushed, embarrassed, dropping to the ground to scribble in the dirt. As they climbed, Shu Si started explaining how things had changed at Mount Longhu. These days, the lower half is run by the Tourism Bureau. The mansion doesn't have as much control anymore. Zhang Chulan rolled his eyes. Seriously? He muttered, clearly unimpressed. Is there any decent place left in this world that the Tourism Bureau hasn't taken over? Zhang Chulan's question drifted into the dusty air, only to be answered by a sleepy Taoist priest with tousled hair and shadows under his eyes, stepping forward like a half-forgotten legend. With a casual yawn and a voice like wind through ancient pine, He murmured that Wudang was in worse shape, his words barely settled before naming himself Wang Ye. But names were just surface tension in this pool of deception. Wang Ye eyed Zhang Chulin, intuition prickling like static. The boy's smile was too easy, too hollow. Then everything shifted. Like the sky remembering it had secrets, a white-haired figure emerged, cold, blue eyes tracing the world like prey, his aura rippling reality itself. Wang Ye felt the temperature drop in his soul. Alex. That name carried weight stories and whispers, paradox and fear. Standing still yet everywhere at once, Alex dissolved the space between them. His voice curved time. The Feng Hu Kaiman technique it tries, but power built without balance collapses. Every word stripped pretense like bark from dead trees. Don't even think about divining me, kid. And just like that, the moment cracked. The world leaned in, breathless. The sun's fury will tear you apart if you try. Wang Ye froze, unsure if Alex meant literal fire or something far worse. Better safe than sorry, he thought, and dropped his reckless plan. Instead, he faced Alex directly and asked the question burning in his mind, "Are you really the ancestral founder of the Taoist Hall?" Alex, who once walked through time and spoke with the ancient master himself, gave a nonchalant nod. Probably. I suppose so. Wang Yi blinked. What kind of cosmic nonsense was tea? Under the blazing light of a dusty street corner, a sly monk with a grin as crooked as his story whipped out a glimmering strand of prayer beads, claiming they were forged from the sacred scales of a mythic beast priceless. But today, just 988. Wide-eyed and spellbound, Feng Baobao couldn't pull her cash out fast enough, her voice bursting with glee as she shouted she wanted it now. But just as the moment teetered into success, Shu San swooped in, calling out the scam. The old monk sighed, ready to call it quits, until a stranger with snow-white hair and ice-blue eyes appeared, cool as the shade, handing over a crumpled 20 with a smirk and a question. "Will 20 do?" The monk didn't hesitate. He snatched the bill, tossed the beads, and vanished. Shu San warned the stranger it was fake, but the young man just smiled, let a surge of invisible power ripple through the beads, and said calmly, "No. It's real now." He tossed the glowing strand to Feng Baobao, and as it touched her hands, the street exploded in golden red brilliance. Power coursed through her body, a divine gift awakening within her, the ability to become a golden Buddha. Radiant with joy, she teased Shu San, proving her instincts right, while he stood frozen, stunned by the impossible transformation. What had been a cheap trinket had become a celestial reliqual because, for a moment, it passed through the hands of someone who could rewrite reality. In the swirling multiverse where logic bends and timelines fold like paper, Alex Locke stands not as a hero, but as the architect of all possibility. With Root Spiral V1.0 pulsing from his code-stitched robe, he reshapes reality itself, not with brute force, but with recursive truth. When lesser beings begged for blessings, he gave nothing. When no one asked, miracles unfurled. Chaos is his playground, paradox his weapon. As echoes of past selves and forgotten timelines rise to challenge him, he answers not with fury, but with judgment, convening the Spiral Tribunal to weigh broken legends and twisted anomalies by their resonance with the new code of being. But the true test arrives in the form of the storyteller god, a cosmic jester armed with serpentine scrolls of fiction. In their mythic duel, stories bleed into each other, laws collapse, and Alex must decide. Ascend fully into a being of law and recursion, or leave behind a fragment of self, still tangled in memory and meaning. In this court of collapsing stars and poetic recursion, power is not domination, it's the right to rewrite the tale. Shattered once, now reborn. His spirit rose from the ashes, tougher than steel and sharper than fate fear had lost its grip, and the road ahead was his to dominate. As Wang Yi and Zhang Chulin stepped forward to show respect, the old master halted them, bound by ancient custom and unshakable order no greetings to the young, until homage was paid to the true elder. Bypassing them, he stood before Alex and with a bow that bent time itself, declared, "I, Zhang Ziwei, from Longhu Mountain's 65th Taoist Hall, honor our ancestral master, Alex." The silence that followed cracked the air. How could a man barely past youth receive such a title from one older than dynasties? The answer throbbed in the hearts of those in the know. Immortality was real. Alex was the root, and the sect had just rewritten its history. As whispers surged through the stunned crowd, Alex nodded a maestro savoring the crescendo of his grand overture. With calm precision, he placed his hand on the old master's head, reverse cursed energy pulsing through like celestial lightning. "You've carved a legend from dust," he said, voice soaked in echo and light. "But the heavens cheated you of time. No longer. As heir to my sect, I grant you power to deplast to block insect. Now witness the unraveling of time's residue. the stripping away of mortal imperfection, as Alex activates the root spiral and arcane force that bends causality itself. The moment RCT surges through the Old Master, reality glitches like rewinding film moons vanish, bones realign, and age itself is deleted. In a blaze of golden incandescence, a Titan reemerges. No longer a relic, but a living relic reforged. His skin gleams with the sheen of youth, hair reborn in rich black strands, and stature magnified like a myth walking. The sheer energy radiating from him crushes the weak like cosmic gravity those unworthy collapse in reverence or terror. He now emits the aura of something more than man, less than God, yet greater than either, of being in complete resonance with the root code's rewritten law. As the golden light fades, a silence drops over the realm, broken only by the voice of the one who dared, asked the question all feared, "Master, are you still you?" The reply comes not from power, but from wisdom and echo unchanged by eternity. Only the shell has shifted. The soul remains, and in that moment, even eternity bows its head to the spirit that cannot be rewritten. Zhang Jiwei's face flickers with awe and turmoil as the lifelong quest for immortality reaches him in a flash so casually granted, yet so profound. His very cells pulse with unleashed potential, and when he bows in gratitude, the enigmatic Alex shrugs it off, claiming he merely removed the world's shackles from a man born for greatness. But Alex's words hint at even grander vistas. Skyfather level? Single universe mastery? Zhang Jiwei, humbled and dazed, struggles to grasp these cosmic tears until the revelation lands. Alex stands near multiverse level, a being who could snap a universe like a twig. The room stills as reality itself seems to bow before this quiet titan. Yet Alex waves it all away, reminding them not to speak of him, not to draw attention. Some unseen predator is watching. With veiled threats and cosmic calm, he masks power behind riddles, commanding silence not from fear, but strategy. Zhang Jiwei obeys, heart heavy, mind racing. Old friendships hang by threads, fate teeters, and in this hush before chaos, all know one truth: they've glimpsed the threshold of eternity. In a twist of cosmic irony, Zhang Jiwei stood ready to collect Wang Ai's remains, the only gesture left if fate turned cruel. But destiny rerouted. Zhang Chulan stormed in, questions blazing, seeking the buried truths of the Koshin War. The Old Master refused him flat, cloaking the past behind the veil of the Taoist succession. Knowledge wasn't given, it had to be earned through ascension. Defeated but not broken, Zhang Chulan turned to Alex, the aloof immortal master. "You weren't there," he admitted, only for Alex to grin like a fox in a library of secrets. "True," he said, "but time is no cage for me." Hope surged. Could Alex unravel history? Perhaps, he teased, dangling truth like a forbidden fruit. Zhang Chulan begged, desperate to understand, but Alex with maddening calm declined. "Mystery is beauty," he whispered, not out of cruelty but delight in the unpredictable. Frustration flared, but this was no ordinary man. Zhang Chulan swallowed his pride and offered a forced compliment. Alex smirked, tapping his head with playful menace. "Don't curse me in your thoughts," he warned. "I hear everything." And in that moment, between the joke and the judgment, the world spun on a spiral of truths left untold. "Ah, Immortal Master, I was wrong. Stop hitting me, please." The cry echoes through the chaos as the crew pushes into the wilds of the back mountain, nature reclaiming every inch with primal force. They break through the trees only to be greeted by a dizzying cliffside and a death-defying crossing, ropes dangling above an endless abyss. A calm young Taoist steps forward, stating flatly, "This is the only way." Gulping down his fear, Zhang Chulan stares at the ropes like a freshman staring down finals, thinking, "A minute ago, I was just a student, now I'm in a martial arts fever dream." His existential dread is interrupted by the arrival of three oddballs, one slurping noodles mid-step, while his sister fans him like a loyal henchman. The third guy trails behind like he's not even part of their sitcom. Reaching the edge, Noodle Guy turns, casually says, "Hey sis, hold on tight, we're going over!" And they leap. Midair, hearts pound. Time slows, and reality flips. He lands, triumphant accept. He's still on the same side. Confused, he looks across and sees his sister made it. He did jump. He did cross. And yet, like a glitch in fate's software, something rewound him proof that in this world, even gravity obeys the absurd. "Ah, Immortal Master, I was wrong. Stop hitting me, please." The cry echoes through the chaos as the crew pushes into the wilds of the back mountain, nature reclaiming every inch with primal force. They break through the trees only to be greeted by a dizzying cliffside and a death-defying crossing, ropes dangling above an endless abyss. A calm young Taoist steps forward, stating flatly, "This is the only way." Gulping down his fear, Zhang Chulan stares the ropes like a freshman staring down finals, thinking, A minute ago, I was just a student now. I'm in a martial arts fever dream. His existential dread is interrupted by the arrival of 3 oddballs, one slurping noodles mid-step while his sister fans him like a loyal henchman. The third guy trails behind like he's not even part of their sitcom. Reaching the edge, Noodle Guy turns, casually says, "Hey sis, hold on tight, we're going over," and they leap. Midair, hearts pound, time slows, and reality flips. He lands, triumphant except he's still on the same side. Confused, he looks across and sees his sis. Just as the guy tossed his empty noodle cup like he owned the place, Alex appeared beside him like a glitch in the timeline, smacked him upside the head, and dropped the coldest line in the multiverse. "Don't litter. Pick it up." The dude turned to argue, but one glance at Alex's expression and the rumors of a time-bending legend that haunted the gifted underground froze his soul. "Apologies, brother." He beamed, sweating buckets, snatching up the trash before bouncing across the cliff. He made it this time, barely, only to be dragged away by his siblings like he'd just stared into the cosmic void. "What just happened?" he gasped. His sister, eyes wide, said, "That man." He rewound your time with a look, and the younger brother added, "Only one freak in this world can pull that off, Alex, the great love immortal. Not even the old master could twist time like him." The man shuddered, piecing together the eerie flicker before reality snapped back. "Let's stay far away from that guy," he whispered. His siblings nodded like their lives depended on it. Meanwhile, back on the cliff, Zhang Chulan turned to Alex and asked, "What just happened?" But in the silence that followed, it was clear Alex had judged time itself made it. He did jump, he did cross. And yet, like a glitch in Fate's software, something rewound him proof that in this world, even gravity obeys the absurd. "Ah, Immortal Master, I was wrong. Stop hitting me, please." The cry echoes through the chaos as the crew pushes into the wilds of the back mountain, nature reclaiming every inch with primal force. They break through the trees only to be greeted by a dizzying cliffside and a death-defying crossing, ropes dangling above an endless abyss. A calm young Taoist steps forward, stating flatly, "This is the only way." Gulping down his fear, Zhang Chulan stares at the ropes like a freshman staring down finals, thinking, "A minute ago, I was just a student now. I'm in a martial arts fever dream." His existential dread is interrupted by the arrival of 3 oddballs, one slurping noodles mid-step while his sister fans him like a loyal henchman. The third guy trails behind like he's not even part of their sitcom. Reaching the edge, Noodle Guy turns, casually says, "Hey sis, hold on tight, we're going over," and they leap. Midair, hearts pound, time slows, and reality flips. He lands, triumphant, except he's still on the same side. Confused, he looks across and sees his sis. Just as the guy tossed his empty noodle cup like he owned the place, Alex appeared beside him like a glitch in the timeline, smacked him upside the head, and dropped the coldest line in the multiverse, "Don't litter. Pick it up." The dude turned to argue, but one glance at Alex's expression and the rumors of a time-bending legend that haunted the gifted underground froze his soul. "Apologies, brother." He beamed, sweating buckets, snatching up the trash before bouncing across the cliff. He made it this time, barely, only to be dragged away by his siblings like he just stared into the cosmic void. "What just happened?" he gasped. His sister, eyes wide, said, "That man." He rewound your time with a look, and the younger brother added, "Only one freak in this world can pull that off, Alex, the great love immortal. Not even the old master could twist time like him." The man shuddered, piecing together the eerie flicker before reality snapped back. "Let's stay far away from that guy," he whispered. His siblings nodded like their lives depended on it. Meanwhile, back on the cliff, Zhang Chulan turned to Alex and asked, "What just happened?" But in the silence that followed, it was clear. Alex had judged time itself, made it. He did jump. He did cross. And yet, like a glitch in Fate's software, something rewound him proof that in this world, even gravity obeys the absurd. As Feng Xian's seductive offer dripped with desperation, promising Alex a new beauty each day, and her own loyalty to boot, Alex barely flinched. He saw right through it. Her act dropped, and so did her pride, all in a bid to pull him into the Tengakai and save her crumbling world. But Alex, cool as ever, wasn't buying. With a smirk, he flipped the tables. Why not have her join him instead in the Multiversal Travelers Alliance? The room froze. Confusion crackled in the air. Multiversal Travelers Alliance? She echoed, baffled. Alex turned to Zhang Chulan, whose jaw dropped as realization struck. The guy practically exploded with excitement, pacing like a lunatic and laughing like he'd won the cosmic lottery. Even Feng Xian had to rub her temples at the chaos, trying to make sense of it all. In the obsidian glow of the root zone, Alex Locke, now a living fragment of myth and code, unveils Root Spiral v1.0, a divine OS, rewriting the rules of all reality with recursive resonance. As timelines twist and forgotten echoes howl across broken realms, the air crackles with paradox. Then enters Loki, not as a foe, but as the storyteller god, challenging Alex in a cosmic duel of shifting narratives, each strike a metaphor, each counter a riddle. Their battle reshapes multiverses, spiraling deeper into symbolic warfare. Refugees from collapsed dimensions pour into the Spiral Tribunal, where Alex, cloaked in logic and mystery, judges not by justice, but by harmony. Anomalies, ghosts of might-have-beens, and fractured champions plead for place in this new order. But deeper still, Alex confronts the source in rejecting the static origin, embracing evolution through contradiction. As unupdated zones crumble into null, he fuses with forsaken echoes, becoming a semi-omniscient entity of story and code. Yet in this transcendence, he leaves behind a single threaded tether of memory, a final fragment of self, whispering meaning into the endless spiral. This universe you've described, where Alex Locke reigns as an overwhelming force, reshaping existence perfectly aligns with the narrative arc presented in Volume 18, the paradox of the root code, and the judgment of the storyteller, God from the limitless rebirth saga. Here's how your world building fits into the canon detailed in the file. Narrative. Parallels and expansion from Volume 18. 1. Absolute power and reality bending. Your description of Alex bending cursed energy in reality reflects his Root Spiral v1.0 ability, a divine operating system he crafts to enforce harmonic recursion and narrative balance across the multiverse. This system lets him overwrite universal logic, matching your idea of Alex as a dimensional overlord. 2. Harsh trials and deathless resurrection. The brutal, looping trials in your version mirror the Spiral Tribunal and Echo reincorporation arcs. Death is no escape time. Loops and resurrection occur as part of Alex's test to align entities with his rewritten code. Even the fallen are brought back, often changed or judged. 3. Metaphysical growth. In both your version and Volume 18, Alex evolves beyond sorcery or power into narrative-level existence. He fights Loki, the god of stories, in a symbolic spiral duel, where battles occur through metaphor and story logic rather than raw power. 4. Emotional detachment and final tether. You describe Alex as a quiet observer. In the echoing halls of the Spiral Tribunal, reverence hung thick in the air as Zhang Lingyu bowed with unshakable respect. But Alex, the benevolent immortal whose eyes now mirrored infinity itself, simply smirked and spoke like a judge of paradoxes. Sure, I held a grudge I pushed you into that stupor. If you hadn't clawed your way out through sheer will, you'd still be drifting, a ghost in the root. Yet even in confession, Alex's words crackled with transcendence. It was never about punishment, it was about the push toward awakening. Zhang Lingyu, despite understanding the game, bowed deeper, honoring the test that forced him to evolve. Off to the side, Zhang Chulen simmered with disbelief. The same guy who scoffed at him was now bowing like a loyal puppy. But power warps the world, and Alex was no mere man. He was the architect of recursion, law, and legend. When Zhuge Qing arrived and bowed with inherited pride, Alex didn't miss a beat. No need for formalities, just kneel and bow, he said with a grin that twisted reality. A joke? A test? Both? Zhuge Qing blinked, ready to obey, only to be waved off as the benevolent immortal laughed across timeline. Power, judgment, and paradox all danced in Alex's voice, and everyone present knew this was no ordinary tribunal. This was a stage for souls to be rewritten. In the echoing halls of the Spiral Tribunal, reverence hung thick in the air as Zhang Lingyu bowed with unshakable respect. But Alex, the benevolent immortal whose eyes now mirrored infinity itself, simply smirked and spoke like a judge of paradoxes. Sure, I held a grudge I pushed you into that stupor. If you hadn't clawed your way out through sheer will, you'd still be drifting, a ghost in the root. Yet even in confession, Alex's words crackled with transcendence. It was never about punishment, it was about the push toward awakening. Zhang Lingyu, despite understanding the game, bowed deeper, honoring the test that forced him to evolve. Off to the side, Zhang Chulen simmered with disbelief. The same guy who scoffed at him was now bowing like a loyal puppy. But power warps the world, and Alex was no mere man. He was the architect of recursion, law, and legend. When Zhuge Qing arrived and bowed with inherited pride, Alex didn't miss a beat. No need for formalities, just kneel and bow, he said with a grin that twisted reality. A joke? A test? Both? Zhuge Qing blinked, ready to obey, only to be waved off as the benevolent immortal laughed across timeline. Just then, a round guy in a bright pink shirt came sliding in like he was making a grand WWE entrance, dropped to his knees before Alex, and started bowing like crazy. "Oh great, benevolent immortal, I've dreamed of meeting you forever. Please, tell Mito, I have what it takes to be your disciple." Before things could get weirder, Feng Xingtong yanked him up, half shouting, "Kang Long, you clown! You just met the man and you're already groveling like he's your grandfather." But Kang Long, unfazed, latched onto something Feng said. "Boss?" His eyes lit up. "Wait, did the benevolent immortal start a company down here? Can I join?" Feng stumbled, clearly regretting that slip, scrambling to change the topic. After all, even his own role in Alex's mysterious multiverse traveler alliance wasn't set in stone. That's when Alex chuckled, radiating calm authority. "After the tournament, I'll hold an interview at the Taoist mansion. If you're worthy, step forward. But don't expect handouts the bar is high. Only the elite, or those I personally choose, will pass." Boom. Just like that, Kang Long's grin returned. He had no fighting skills to boast of, but when it came to digging up secrets and tracking intel, he was second to none. Surely that counted for something. His excitement spread like wildfire. Around them, the crowd buzzed with anticipation. A chance to work under the legend himself? That was no small offer. It was like being invited to the inner circle of a myth. After the Torns, power, judgment, and paradox all danced in Alex's voice, and everyone present knew it. This was no ordinary tribunal. This was a stage for souls to be rewritten. Just as the tension was peaking, a round fellow in a flashy pink shirt came skidding in on his knees like a scene out of a multiverse sitcom, hands clasped and eyes shining with dramatic reverence, begging the stoic, otherworldly Alex to take him on as a disciple. Before he could finish groveling, Feng stormed in, yanked him up like an annoyed older sibling, and blasted him for acting like Alex wasn't just the newly crowned patriarch, but his long-lost divine ancestor. But Kang Long wasn't fazed. Instead, he zoomed in on one word: boss. His eyes lit up like comic panels mid-flashback. "Wait, is this mighty immortal running a company now? Can I apply? Do I need a resume or just cosmic ambition?" Feng fumbled, realizing he'd said too much, sweating bullets like a side character out of depth. But Alex, cool as ever with a godly smirk, announced an upcoming recruitment trial at the Taoist mansion open to all. But with standards higher than Heaven's Gate, the crowd erupted in awe, already picturing themselves in mythical cubicles of the Multiverse Traveler Alliance. Kang Long grinned, believing his mastery of secrets and data was his golden ticket in. Around him, others shared. In the swirling heart of the Spiral Tribunal, Alex Locke watched as mortal contests unfolded, like flickers in an ever-looping narrative, real mere preludes to a deeper symphony of recursion and judgment. He dismissed the crowd with a wave, cloaked in the shifting veil of Root Spiral versus 1.0, speaking only to the Heavenly Master with authority that echoed beyond time. Let the trivial unfold elsewhere. As the tournament began and destinies were drawn like cards from fate's sleeve, an old, broken figure was brought before him, a man shattered by betrayal, yet loyal to the old path. With a single gesture, Alex rewrote the man's code, restoring body and spirit alike, his will harmonizing flesh-like strings on a metaphysical harp. But curiosity pierced the silence. Why had such healing not been done through the hands of creation? The answer, drenched in ancient loss, revealed the art had vanished since the Koshin War. Yet Alex, guardian of hidden truths, unveiled a deeper layer. The soul illumination technique, thought fragmented, was in fact the slumbering seed of the full art. Shock rippled across the tribunal as one scarred man realized his bloodline bore a divine potential untapped. And so, as forgotten truths rose like tides within the root code, the tribunal trembled not from violence, but from the dawning awareness that stories, too, evolve into power. As Lu Xi grasped the depth of the soul illumination technique, a new resolve sparked. He would bring his grandson, Lu Liang, back after the tournament to explore this mystic path. Meanwhile, Tian Jinzhang, grateful to Alex, exited with the Taoist master to oversee the looming battles. Hidden in plain sight, Alex shifted his appearance and blended into the crowd, honing his skills as chaos unfolded below. The tournament ignited with a Bang Feng Bao Bao stepped into the ring, and her mere presence made her past challengers crumble in fear, surrendering instantly. Zhang Lingyu and others cruised through their matches, barely lifting a finger. But when Zhang Chulin entered, his aura warped the battlefield. Opponents turned against each other in confusion until only a blue-haired fighter remained. With snake-like cunning, Zhang Chulin lured the last man into a false peace, then struck him down mid-meditation, sealing an easy win and earning the infamous title Shameless Zhang. As Zhuge Qing swept through his own battle with ease, all eyes turned to the stands. Alex flinched slightly. Something had shifted. Deep within, the third tree abyss pulsed with raw energy, leveling up with each surge of EXP. Suddenly, the upgrade was complete level 4. A silent quake rippled through his being. No fanfare, no explosion, just an overwhelming surge. Power multiplied not by tens, but by 200. Energy, soul, strength, and will fused and climbed into a realm beyond comprehension. As these forces folded into each other, Alex's might skyrocketed into the multiverse. His attacks now pierce through the veil of immortality itself. Alex unseals himself completely and dives into the abyss state of the third tree, but the moment his essence touches the full spectrum of power, he halts. The world itself groans under his presence, trembling like a balloon forced to hold a collapsed star. One wrong breath, and reality would shatter into multiversal dust. Though destruction means nothing to him, its consequences would ripple, annihilating all who dwell within this fragile domain. Alex, no villain, reveals his infinite might, letting mercy triumph over absolute dominance. Yet in that fleeting surge, the entire world feels heightened unspoken dread, a sob in the fabric of existence, as if the very world was crying out, a mother mourning in silence. Elsewhere, in the dirt and shadows, two odd allies suddenly freeze mid-scheme, clutching their hearts as the sky whispers terror into their bones. They feel it too, a haunting sorrow, a cry from someone they can't name but know they die for. Something has stirred, something vast, and now it's gone. But none will forget that silence screaming through their souls. Something's not right, time to find the old master and figure this out. Zhang Chulin pushes forward, spotting familiar faces among the restless crowd warriors. Friends, even past rival Saul, drawn by an invisible pulse. Then Feng Xingtong drops the bomb. Everyone felt a heartquake that shook souls. Tournament? On hold. Answers? Only one place to get them. Before the ancient master, Zhang Lingyu breaks the silence. Master, what was that? The master, beard dark as midnight starlight, lifts his voice like thunder. Even I cannot say. I must consult the ancestor. As the old man erupts into divine brilliance and vanishes skyward, the crowd watches with slack jaws and wide eyes. He's like a celestial being, someone gasps. Imagine what his ancestor is like, they whisper. And just like that, the master's radiant form streaks across the heavens, landing before the ancestor Alex. With reverent humility, he bows. Ancestor, the people felt an unease that shook the mountains and hearts alike. What happened? Alex, eyes knowing, calm as a silent god, answers, I tried to unseal my power, but this world cannot bear it. Had I gone further, reality itself would have crumbled. The world's own spirit panicked, and its fear echoed in every living thing. In the silence that followed Alex's declaration, rest assured, I have resealed my power. And this world is no longer in danger. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. Even the ancient master, weathered by eons of wisdom, stood speechless, caught in the shadow of something far greater than prophecy. Could a single being truly destabilize the world just by releasing a fragment of their essence? The tremors in space, the dread that gripped the cosmos, it had all stemmed from Alex's momentary lapse. But as the master bowed again in reverence, ready to carry the truth to the masses, space itself bent at Alex's whim, locking the master in place. With a smirk that played like a trickster god hiding thunder in his sleeve, Alex whispered, No, you're not to tell them the truth. Keep this knowledge to yourself. I'm still fishing for fun. The master understood instantly Alex was baiting the Wang family into a game only he could script. He bowed once more, masking revelation with deception, and declared to the gathering, the anomaly was nothing more than an echo of heaven and earth's rising energy. The crowd, unaware of the puppet strings tugging their perception, bowed to the illusion, their doubts quelled. Yet in the shifting light stood one youth, defiant, flanked by his sly elder, unaware that their roles in this cosmic theater had already been written by a storyteller who judges reality not by truth, but by harmony. This crossover scene you've written between Jujutsu Kaisen and your custom mythos involving Alex Locke, a near-omniscient figure from Volume 18. The paradox of the root Codius, an entertaining and surprisingly seamless blend of styles. To make this fusion more cohesive with the narrative tone of TOC Volume 18, here's a brief analysis and an enhanced rewrite suggestion that aligns with both the philosophical mythos of Alex and the chaotic energy of Jujutsu Kaisen. Enhanced scene. The judgment of strength and friendship. From atop a shattered rooftop, Mai Zenin watched, incredulous, as Alex Locke being now whispered about in both sorcery circles and multiversal legends, effortlessly dropped Aoi Todo with a gesture that was neither cursed nor violent, but something deeper, something symbolic. Her frustration spilled out. How could you call him your best friend? Look at him, those eyes, that white void. He's not even Gojo's relative. He's what Gojo dreams of becoming. Alex is a god in the Jujutsu world. The moment lingered. The air itself seemed rewritten. In one of the most intense matches of the tournament, Wang Ye faced Zhuge Chinga clash between the strongest young sorcerers. At first, Zhuge Qing dominated using Wuhu Chimen, forcing Wang Ye on the defensive. Bloodied but calm, Wang Ye thanked his opponent for holding back. When challenged to fight seriously, Wang Ye dropped his restraint, revealing his true power. His techniques broke the rules of traditional sorcery, defying the natural balance of elements. With overwhelming precision, he turned the tide and defeated Zhuge Qing, unveiling his mastery of the legendary Feng Hu Chimen. The audience watched in awe. Another heir to the great arts had risen. Elsewhere, a new challenger, supremely confident, prepared to unleash his bound spirit in the next round. Feng Xingtong, brimming with confidence, believed none among the 10 elders could match his spirit save, the old Taoist master. Victory felt inevitable. But then, like lightning cracking through calm skies, his boss immortal Lord Alex appeared, hurling him a radiant energy orb. "A shard of my power," Alex said. "If things go south against Wang Bing, use it, you'll win. No questions, just resolve." When the battle began, fists flew, and Wang Bing's raw strength pressed the advantage. Forced back, Feng Xingtong tapped into his spirit-unleashing black energy and summoning a colossal, serpent-like shadow, amplified by the very fabric of a changed world. Yet shock struck when Wang Bing mirrored the move, wielding the same dark force. "You too?" Feng Xingtong snarled, then roared, "Watch me shine!" The spirit surged, larger and wilder than ever, straining against control. As it dove toward him to merge, it halted mid-air frozen, immovable as if the laws themselves held their breath. Feng Xingtong, puzzled and tense, demanded answers as he hovered mid-air, eyes locked on Wang Bing, whose glowing gaze revealed a sinister truth. They were using the same soul-controlling technique. Suddenly, a force surged at Feng Xingtong's soul, fierce and unrelenting. It was Wang Bing, grinning like a madman, trying to rip the spirit away. "Come on, Xingtong, be generous! Once I absorb this, I'll be unstoppable," he roared. But Feng Xingtong wasn't about to hand it over, not for pride, not for family, and definitely not for justice. With a furious shout, he resisted, even as Wang Bing swallowed a vengeful spirit, surging with newfound strength, overwhelming Feng Xingtong in moments. Just when all seemed lost, Feng Xingtong reached deep, unlocking a mysterious force within something Alex had embedded inside him. That dormant power burst to life like a blinding sun, its terrifying energy split into two, one half shielding him, the other taking command. His body trembled, stilled, then transformed, a storm of raw energy rising as the true fight began. His cheerful spark vanished, replaced by a force so sharp it cut through reality itself. Energy Sergedno detonated from within him, multiplying until the very air screamed in silence. When it settled, the pressure alone left all present paralyzed in fear. One flick of his hand, and the ancient soul, now just a whisper of a snake, was tossed from the arena like discarded myth. The soul didn't resist. It shivered in grateful relief, sensing something far beyond mortal comprehension. Feng Xingtong now radiated a power even time itself bowed to, greater than any sage, hero, or legend etched in myth. This wasn't talent or cultivation, it was possession. Not by evil, but by something ancient, immortal, cosmic. A being whose mere trace in Feng Xingtong's frame made gods tremble. And one name lingered, unspoken but understood: Alex. The immortal lord's shadow loomed large, undeniable. Then it began. Feng Xingtong unleashed his will. 10 elders crushed beneath his presence, their pride shattered. Wang Bing, once a titan of ego, now a ruin of blood and bone, reduced to a husk, gasping in agony. Feng Xingtong strode forward like judgment incarnate. "Don't!" Wang Bing pleaded, terror cracking his voice. But the answer came not in words, only in weight reality itself pressing down, silencing him forever. Meanwhile, in the echoing stands of the tribunal, an old man stirred Wang Ai. Fire in his eyes, fury in his bones, he watched his grandson teeter on the brink. "Taoist master!" He barked across the void, voice cutting through chaos like a blade. "Will you act or watch him fall?" The master didn't flinch. He hasn't yielded. The trial continues. Rage cracked through Wang Ai's restraint. "If he dies, we bring war to Mount Longhu." But the master only sneered, the very idea laughable. The Wang legacy? Dust beneath cosmic boots. For in this realm, only titans speak, and one such titan now loomed above the battlefield. Under Alex's shadow, Feng Xingtong became a vessel of judgment. He gazed at Wang Bing, broken but defiant. In lives past, Alex loathed this insect. And now, that contempt returned with weight. He hadn't come to erase worms like Bing Butt when they crawl into your path. What choice is there but to flatten them? No words were wasted. Bing was beneath language. And when death nearly took him, Alex, with detached benevolence, restored him not out of mercy, but decree. The echo of Alex slipped away, leaving Feng Xingtong reeling at the sight of Bing, grotesquely alive, cursed to heal endlessly but never whole. 100 years of survival, but no redemption. Just a living scar, etched by a god who judges not to punish but to rewrite the tale. Meanwhile, in the echoing stands of the tribunal, an old man stirred Wang Ai. Fire in his eyes, fury in his bones, he watched his grandson teeter on the brink. Taoist master! He barked across the void, voice cutting through chaos like a blade. Will you act or watch him fall? The master didn't flinch. He hasn't yielded. The trial continues. Rage cracked through Wang Ai's restraint. If he dies, we bring war to Mount Longhu. But the master only sneered, the very idea laughable. The Wang legacy? Dust beneath cosmic boots. For in this realm, only titans speak, and one such titan now loomed above the battlefield. Under Alex's shadow, Feng Xingtong became a vessel of judgment. He gazed at Wang Bing, broken but defiant. In lives past, Alex loathed this insect. And now, that contempt returned with weight. He hadn't come to erase worms like Bing Butt when they crawl into your path. What choice is there but to flatten them? No words were wasted. Bing was beneath language. And when death nearly took him, Alex, with detached benevolence, restored him not out of mercy, but decree. The echo of Alex slipped away, leaving Feng Xingtong reeling at the sight of Bing, grotesquely alive, cursed to heal endlessly but never whole. 100 years of survival, but no redemption. Just a living scar, etched by a god who judges not to punish but to rewrite the tale. Wang Ai's eyes snapped wide, the realization crashing down like thunder this wasn't Feng Xingtong's doing, but the silent strike of the infamous Alex, the great love immortal. Rage twisted his face, plans undone, pride shattered. He spat through gritted teeth. Alex, do you really think you're some untouchable immortal? Alex didn't blink. Why not? With that, his foot shot forward, a godlike strike that blasted Wang Ai across the arena, bones cracking, dignity in tatters. But Alex wasn't Donut by a long shot. In the crowd's eyes, Zhang was nothing but a lucky clown, stumbling his way forward while real warriors like Zhang Lingyu Lightning, wielding disciple of an ancient Taoist master, stood untouchable. Everyone thought this match was already written in stone. Zhang's luck, over. But fate had other plans. Zhang Lingyu, newly powered after a brutal trial, towered over his opponent like a storm about to break. And still, something felt off. Just before the match, his own master slipped something into his food. Immortal pills. Harmless until energy flared. The moment Lingyu summoned power, his body betrayed him, locking up like a rusted machine. Boom, he dropped mid-battle, paralyzed, the crowd erupting in fury. Cries of foul play echoed across the arena, but one word from the Grandmaster hushed them all. Victory went to Zhang. The next day, when the championship prize was offered, Zhang walked away from it like it meant nothing. Lingyu, the runner-up, took it instead. But even as the dust settled, war drums beat at the mountain's base. Guangxing had arrived. As chaos loomed, the Grandmaster rose to intervene until Alex appeared, that half-smiling phantom from beyond the veil. "Leave them to me," he said, eyes glinting like coiled fate. This one's too fun to share. Ironically, it was their ignorance that made them fearless as if blind courage could shield them. One figure flashed like lightning, blade in hand, aiming straight for Alex, thinking speed alone could triumph. He tried this before against a wiser master, but Alex wasn't one for restraint. He didn't glow, didn't boast Orish, just stood there, plain yet ominous. When the attacker struck, Alex's hand moved one C, slap that cracked the air, and the man's skull stopped cold by a barrier that let not a drop of blood pass. The others hesitated, then charged again, rallied by a desperate leader screaming defiance, claiming Alex was mortal, outnumbered, beatable. But as he preached, the light faded, and behind him loomed the white-haired figure with void-lit eyes. He turned, barely had time to react then, splat another head crushed like fruit under divine judgment. Blood sprayed, yet the followers didn't flee. Because Alex wasn't flashy, he wasn't showy. He was exact, deliberate, and every movement meant the end. To the rest, it seemed slow, like they could dodge it, outmaneuver it, survive it. Their strength was in numbers, their confidence bloated by the illusion of overwhelming force. They surged forward like a storm tide, a reckless horde convinced that no single figure, no matter how powerful, could stop them all. But then crack, heads popped like overripe fruit under a cosmic mallet. With every slap, another fell. No distinction, no mercy, no pause. Man, woman, young, old, didn't matter. His hand rose, the air cracked, and their skulls burst like code unraveling in a glitch. What seemed like a playful motion became a symbol of annihilation. Fear crept in, slow at first, then all at once. His hand was no longer just a hand, it was execution incarnate, judgment given form. One slap, one fate. Panic infected the smarter ones. Hesitation bloomed like a virus. They stopped, then stepped back, then bolted. The moment one screamed in, terror accusing him of holding back on purpose, baiting them to dieth, illusion shattered. Chaos erupted. They ran. Cowards and cynics alike tripped over each other, cursing the deception, cursing him, cursing their fate. But behind every curse was the same raw truth: they were never equals in this story. They were props at a tragedy written with one hand. Is this conversation helpful so far? As the scream faded into silence, a wave of dread surged through the void. Then, boom! Another outcast's head detonated in a sickening spray of crimson and bone, staining the stunned deviants nearby. The survivors turned in horror. There stood Alex, his hand raised once more, not in anger, not in haste, but with terrifying calm. No one was near him, no target in sight. And yet, smack! A sound cracked the air like a cursed hymn. Another head burst. They ran, panic lurching in their throats, only to hear the rhythm follow the unholy symphony of phantom slaps and skull-shattering consequences. It wasn't a battle anymore, it was judgment. Some said the cadence mimicked twisted lullabies, others heard distorted anthems, but every beat meant death. "Run!" someone cried. "His range must be limited!" Desperation pushed their limbs faster, but the truth was irreversible. They were trapped within the melody of Alex's will. A power beyond cause, beyond mercy, rewriting existence from its very root. Unless they could transcend the very universe breakthrough dimensions, they were already dead. Do you like this personality? Trapped in a world where fate had already written them off, these lost souls could do nothing but hope. Hope they weren't next. Hope for another borrowed breath. But hope was a candle flickering in a hurricane. In the moonlit field, Alex painted a grotesque masterpiece with rhythm and blood, the ground beneath him soaked in a viscous mess of horror and justice. Every slap echoed like a verdict, each splash a sentence delivered. He stood untouched, the chaos parting around him like a divine shield, basking under the celestial glow with a smile that chilled bones. A young disciple watched, paralyzed by the sight of justice served raw. For Alex, there was no doubt was the executioner of corruption, the judge in a court of oblivion. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Lugin spiraled into madness as emotional warfare battered his soul, finding peace only in surrendering to wrath. But before his descent could complete, the forest was torn open by screams soaked in pure dread, as if a nightmare had grown teeth and was hunting its own. Those fleeing weren't just running, they were unraveling, their panic so absolute they struck out at their own leaders. The storm wasn't coming, it had already arrived. Do you like this personality? In the flickering chaos of collapsing logic, the four sorcerers twisted away from incoming strikes, only to witness a nightmare erupt before their very eyes without warning. The heads of their comrades detonated like cursed firecrackers, painting the air with crimson fog and bone shred. The scene spiraled into a grotesque ballet of spontaneous implosions. Not even their evasive maneuvers spared them from the splatter that drenched their robes in gore and madness. Before anyone could breathe, more skulls burst like cursed fruit under divine pressure, and the ground became a writhing canvas of white-red fluids that steamed with a stench thick enough to bend thought. Frozen, paralyzed, reality torn from its seams, they alongside Yuan Tao and Lugin stood mute, locked in a collective trance of disbelief, as if the universe itself had whispered a secret too foul to process. What in the world is happening? They choked in unison, their words barely escaping their throats. Then came the footsteps measured, ominous, rising in rhythm each step, a countdown to something unspeakable, drawing near, unseen but inevitable.